On this episode of Carpe Diem, we talk mental health. In a time when we're called to stay at home and apart, we show you how to find your peace of mind. Doctors Roger Wong and Radha Bhatia, Lou Ripley, and Ramona Captain bring you expert advice and tips for your mental health.
Carpe Diem, seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome to Carpe Diem. On today's episode, we talk mental health. It's a topic that is foremost in our minds, especially as we're isolated and we're feeling mostly alone. And there are unique challenges to us Zoomers. So today we're going to be talking to experts and service providers. And by the end of this show, we will have some reassuring answers. First, let's talk to Lou from the BC Crisis Center about what's happening right here in our own home province.
Lou, as the director of the BC Crisis Center, what's happening in your offices right now?
There's a lot of people who are reaching out for help, feeling hopeless, feeling isolated, feeling anxious, feeling their loss of supports and their loss of coping skills. We've also been dealing with many agencies that already work with vulnerable people, maybe people who are unemployed, or maybe people who are older adults who are looking for ways to support their clients more. People are struggling, as you can imagine.
Do you have a lot of Zoomers and older Canadians calling you directly? Are they actually picking up the phone and reaching out to you?
Certainly they do. I will also say I think there's, and I'm hoping that by coming on shows we can reduce the stigma. I think among the older generation, there can be more stigma around reaching out. And at the same time, definitely 350 seniors that we know of called our lines last month. So, and that's 65 plus. So definitely quite a few seniors do reach out. I also know, and we know from research, that one of the main ways that seniors reach out is through their doctors. That's often who they go to. They go to medical appointments a lot, and that's also being cut back right now, right? People might not be, likely not going to doctors as much, not having that same connection there as well. So that increases vulnerability.
Let's just say that there's somebody watching right now and they can't handle it. They're in crisis. What's the next step that they should take to talk to you or someone like you?
So you can call us on our phone lines. So we have 24/7 phone lines. People sometimes are afraid to call because they're like, oh, I don't really need it. I'm not as bad as someone else. And the fact is if the person on the line needs to respond to a different call, we'll find a gentle way to end the call, right? You can call for any reason that you want. And we also offer, you spoke of meditation, we also offer really easy, accessible mindfulness courses to help us remember some of those skills and ways to manage our own emotions during this time and to ground ourselves and stay centered and try and keep our minds from making us go to places that aren't going to be helpful or healthy for us.
Thank you and your team and all of your colleagues across the country for all the good work that you're doing, especially in a time like this. We need to be able to reach out and to have someone lift us up.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Before we go for a break, I want to leave you with an uplifting story by my colleague, Leah Bolton. She spoke to a friend of hers in Poland who is also on lockdown.
Hello, my name's David Pepper, and currently I'm in quarantine in Paczków in Poland. I am actually from Portsmouth, but I've been in Poland for a short time, and I was flying out to see my wife in Poland, who I haven't seen her for over 2 months, and the reason for that, she is the only person available to look after her sick mother.
Cheers, everyone.
So it was important for me to come, even though I would have to quarantine. Even though I would have to self-isolate, at least I would be in the house and we could talk.
So what is it like in Poland, where Dave's living?
I'm only about 1.5 miles from the Czech Republic border, and they all closed with razor wire across and guards not just guards, not just army, they've brought the police, the fire service, the emergency services, all doing their duty.
So what does a typical day look like for Dave? How does he keep busy?
I wake up in the morning and I do a little bit of a workout. From there, I'll do a talk. I'm doing a presentation, I do PowerPoint presentations, and now I've always been too busy. I've made excuses. Now I have time to do things which I never did. I'm sure many people out there are doing the same. And it's nice, actually, in my book about James Cook, I'm reading a lot. I'm reading on the history of Poland. I'm reading a book on Patchkov, upside down.
And what can we do personally as individuals around the world to stay positive?
And I've been trying to be a beacon of positivity by going around to as many care, nursing and residential homes as I could, and I've been singing outside. They've been in lockdown. I can go in the car park and entertain, and of course all the lovely ladies. I've got Norma, I've got Sheila, I've got Mary over there. Wave it! With a song of joy that it's singing. Giving them entertainment and giving them a little bit of positivity and a little bit of happiness. And it is very scary. And for mental health, I think I haven't heard that enough. I haven't heard about mental health enough. It's very, very important for everyone. Muscles and muscles alive, alive. When no one else can understand me, when everything I do is wrong, you give me hope and consolation. You give me strength to carry on.
So there you go, miles away, but still going through similar struggles and ways of coping. In Surrey, BC, I'm Leah Bolton.
Still ahead on Carpe Diem.
Our balance has shifted as a result of COVID-19. We need to find a new equilibrium, that new balance point.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. To further explore the challenges faced by Zoomers, we spoke to Dr. Roger Wong, a gerontologist at UBC.
We hear that mental health is a very, very big problem right now, and it could linger past COVID.
I think in particular with seniors who actually have mental health conditions such as dementia, they live with Alzheimer's disease, is a very challenging time, not just for those seniors, but also for their loved ones and their families, because it may be difficult to explain to them the whole implication of physical distancing. And they may say, how come no one is coming to visit me anymore? They may not understand. My advice to families and loved ones is really trying to engage in a conversation, maybe through a phone call, so virtually is fine, to a phone call and explain to seniors and say, look, we love you very much. This is a different time now. There's a bad infection going on. You are safe here. We want to protect you. And so we're gonna call you every day and have this conversation, but for now we cannot come and physically visit yet. And then maybe augmented with video chats and stuff is tough. I think in people who do not have dementia or Alzheimer's disease, mental health is so crucial because, as I explained before, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty around. And remember, it's not all about health. It's also about work. It's also about social connection. It's about losses, losing things that are familiar and part of our lives. So I think really important to make sure that we have ways to talk to people. And oftentimes it is talking to our families, our friends, our loved ones. But sometimes if we feel that we really are under undue pressure, I think we need to seek help. And there is virtual mental health support that is available, which I understand has been very, very busy in the past few weeks as well.
How does your spirituality and your physical well-being, are they connected in your view?
Absolutely. I think well-being is what we're talking about. Well-being is, and health in general, is not only about physical health. It's clearly about, psychological and mental health. So in order to strike that balance, and the key word here is balance, our balance has shifted as a result of COVID-19. We need to find a new equilibrium, that new balance point. And it's going to be different for all of us. Some of us who actually, like doing yoga or meditation exercises, continue doing all that. Some of us who used to do a lot of physical activity outdoors, now with physical distancing, make sure that we can still kind of stretch and do things but with physical distancing. I think whatever it is, try to make sure that you have some me time. And I think the me time is so important. And for me, at the same time of all the work and all the running around, I have to make sure I have my own me time.
Well, I think it's very important that you stay healthy because a lot of us depend on you. Thank you so much, Dr. Wong, for taking the time to be with us. I mean, all my very best to you and your team and your colleagues on your fight against what's happening around the world. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here.
When we come back, we get tips on how to manage from clinical psychologist Dr. Bhatia.
Still ahead on Carpe Diem.
Now it is a very good time to say to ourselves, it is okay to feel the silence.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. We asked Dr. Bhatia, a clinical psychologist in New Jersey, for some self-care tips. What can we do?
What advanced techniques would you recommend to those of us watching right now that we can do starting today?
Of course, one is reclaiming our old interests that somehow got buried because we were rushing with time, of wanting to do things that the world is asking us to do, like 9-to-5 jobs, and then you come home and then you have to hang out with your friends, right? Because somebody will feel not good if you don't go and claim your social connections, right? Now it is a very good time to say to ourselves, it is okay to feel the silence, because out of that silence will blossom something that was sitting buried with too much of rushing that we were doing to keep up with the time. That silence is very important for us to really hear the waves in our mind. And that is what we call the mindfulness.
Stress. So
Right.
Depression, stress, is that sort of the same ball of wax?
It is very interesting that you say that. Many men that I interview and I talk to, when they come to a center, the healthcare center, and I would talk about their emotions. They don't want to call it depression. They would like to call it stress. Now, stress in our mind, or a lot of people's mind, is a combination of feeling sad, frustrated, irritable, anxious, nervous, so a range of emotion. And a human being can get stuck in one particular emotion that they express a little more than the others, and that would be just frustration. And someone would be just irritable. That doesn't mean that they're not feeling other emotions, but they are. Now, clinical depression is slightly different. Clinical depression is more, a lot of time, chemical-based or grief-based. But we are going through a combination of depression and anxiety, depending on the grade that we are in, and many would prefer calling it stress.
In closing, to Canada, what would you say to all ages that are watching? What would be your final words to Canadians as we say goodbye for this interview?
Stay safe, the best that you can. And I'm going to read this from my little sticky that I was writing over here. For me, safe is, S is sensibility versus feeling sorry or sorrow. A, acceptance versus arrogance. That, oh no, I can hang out and I would not be affected, or I would not be infected. F, fellowship versus fearing that I'm going to die. And E, feeling energized by end of the day, instead of feeling erratic and all over the place with negative emotions that we have built up.
Dr. Bhatia, you stay safe, and thank you so much for taking time, and a big giant hug to all your friends and family in New York.
Thank you to you too, Carmen.
Want to learn more? Going back to basics always helps. First, just breathe. Dee Natwal talks to Nirmala to learn more.
So again, keeping your eyes closed or at a gaze, and so I'll do the practice. So breathing in through the nose. So
The coronavirus pandemic is proving to be a very stressful event for individuals and communities. As such, television viewers are now looking for content to help them navigate through the tough times. Television host Nirmala Reniga of Joy Television's Journey of Healing has seen an increase in the number of her viewers.
One of the most simplest breathing meditation is, just keeping your eyes closed or keeping it at a gaze and just witness your breath going in and out. And there's a practice have been there for since beginning of time. We call the Soham meditation. Soham translates to I. So Soham is a mantra. A mantra is a technique that brings about a repetition of a word that brings you to a place of a silence. So it's a continuous repetition. And it's a beautiful tool. So when we do Soham, what you do is you breathe through your nose, inhale, and as you inhale, you recite So, and as you exhale, you recite Hum. And so this is not about concentrating, it's just being aware. At some point, what will happen is this Soham, while you're reciting the mantra, you'll forget the breath, or you will be have that breath awareness, but won't recite the mantra. And that's the whole idea, is to get lost in this. And when you are in lost in this is the place where we say healing can happen, because you're not distracted, you are present. So this is a very simple breath. When you wake up in the morning, just sit on your bed before doing anything. Just take some few deep breaths. It's going to go a long way.
So on the way in and hum on the way out.
That's right.
That's wonderful. Nirmala, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your tips here today.
When we come back, we talk to Ramona Captain from Carpe, and she's going to tell us how she and her partner are getting through this with some pretty basic tips.
Still ahead on Carpe Diem.
You can go out for that quick walk every day, a few times around the block. Just keep your distance from other people, but keep active.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. What are you doing to stay positive? Well, I asked Ramona Captain for some recommendations.
Mental health is so crucial during this time. And I was talking to a clinical psychologist, Dr. Bhatia, out of New Jersey. And her advice was very simple: mind over matter. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, sometimes, the thing is, the worst thing is, to fear itself. Just be positive. There's all kinds of exercises you can do also, by the way. There are websites that show you how to do chair exercises, which is very important. But you can go out for that quick walk every day, a few times around the block. Just keep your distance from other people, but keep active, because you can't just sit.
I'm just very grateful that we have the technology to continue communicating and seeing each other. And certainly for us in media, it's great to talk to people like yourself and people that can bring some education and inspiration to our viewers. And that's really all we can do right now. is help each other through it, and I think technology is our friend. So in closing, Ramona, what is Carpe doing for the greater good of Canadians during the time of COVID?
Well, Carpe has always advocated for older Canadians, and we're continuing to do so. We are still approaching the government with various advocacy suggestions that we have, and Carpe will never stop doing that. We'll continue to advocate and fight for our older population. So that's a very, very good thing. And you know, just go on the site and you'll see everything that's happening there. It's being covered 100%. I can't say enough good things about Carpe. And also Zoomer. There's a lot on the Zoomer website, which is very good too.
I'm a member. I'm a long-time member, Ramona, never understanding how much I would learn through just being a part of that community. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And I'm sure that we'll have a chance to talk with you again and get more perspectives from the Carpe community. So Ramona Captain, thank you so much for being with us, and stay safe.
Yes, be well.
Thank you for being with us, and I hope that you learned something today. I want to thank our guests, Lou, Dr. Bhatia, Dr. Wong, and Ramona. And if you'd like to have a conversation with us, please get in touch. And that's the show. Remember, as our Carpe president, Moses Neimer, always says, the best way to keep going is to keep going. So, Carpe diem and seize your day.